everyone
Yo, yo, yo.
to your scheduled program. Here, it's Crab here with a good friend of the program, Chris, 420. Um, here with we're gonna do a little. See, this is the problem with starting it up is the worst part because it's like always like trying to like gather everything together.
hmm
But
We're good, man. Been looking forward
um,
to roasting Marianne a little bit.
well, her, I mean, they're talking about her because her announcement video just came out, and it's fairly atrocious. I mean, she like pretty much praises Biden throughout.
I
Uh,
mean, that's what they kind of are supposed to do, right? I mean, it's just so obvious now. It's just so obvious. After 2016, you had an excuse. I fell for it in 2020 until the end of the primaries, but like, come on, like we're now people are still falling for it. Like it's so obvious that she's just copying Bernie's playbook, and that's not going to end well.
it's worse than that. I mean, like I think like she's kind of more of like an AOC type. I mean, I showed you this tweet
That's a good point. That's a good
by
point.
another friend, Frank Analysis.
hmm
Because Brianna has a lot to say about this. I'm not sure if she's just looking for like another campaign to hop on, but if she's just, but uh,
It's
you
funny
know,
you
I,
say
I
that
don't.
because I was like, she's too invested in electoral politics.
I mean, I see the the problem is like I really feel like these people like were really just buying right back into it
hmm
because there's nothing that she said definitively that she I mean in fact there's actually quite the opposite and people are saying oh it just like it's just something that you said a couple years ago like okay so like are you saying that like Joe Biden's policy decisions aren't consistent because they pretty much fucking are. I mean
I mean, what I think is
it's
like,
kind of pathetic really.
I especially with Brianna Joy Gray, who I respect and I think has like really good takes for the most part. It's just really disappointing that like if we can see it and we know like obviously Marianne isn't going to win. So if you know she's not going to win, then all she's doing is funneling people who are a little bit outside the duopoly into the DNC. And if you know that, then you can't in good faith be like, "Oh, she's saying all the right things." Like I don't buy that at all.
Well it's kind of worse than that because it I think really Missy kind of puts it best, where no one has done more damage to the left than Bernie Sanders, which I
Mhm.
think is like fundamentally I think that's true
I would agree with that.
because like he demoralized the left in a way that was impossible by any other presidential candidate. He basically tore apart any sort of notion that any work was possible through the Democratic Party. And now it's pretty much proven that it isn't, but we're falling for it again anyway. We're just going right back into it.
Right. And I mean, I don't get how people can fall for it again. Like okay, so next fall, end of the summer, oh, Marianne endorses Biden. What a surprise. Okay, so then from the end of the summer until November, we get to hear people yelling at us about how we need to vote for Biden because or else we're gonna get Trump again. Like it's literally gonna be the same thing. It's the same thing.
Yeah, no, it's gonna. Well, I mean, Trump is gonna run again, and then we're gonna be told that there's another, great evil afoot. And she actually talks about this, and like, I think it was her thing with Morning Joe, but we'll get to that.
Mhm.
First, let's try to. I threw this up on 1.25 speed, so we can get it.
Let's talk a little bit about foreign policy.
Okay.
How would you describe the sort of Marianne Williamson foreign?
Which foreign policy I would say is her worst take by
It's
far.
awful, but it should instantly disqualify her for most people
Well, I mean,
because
they didn't like for instance, like it didn't really disqualify Bernie Sanders in the same
oh,
way. But at least he was for Palestinian. Like at least he like understood like Israel as like a terrorist state, which it
Mhm.
is.
Absolutely.
I mean, I mean, call that like a very radical like take, but like I don't really. It does.
I don't
It's
think so. I don't think that's a
yeah. I mean,
very
like she's
controversial.
anti BDS. It's like I mean, which like not many politicians are, which is just kind of just goes to show that she's really just another politician. Why do you trust these people?
Well,
Why do you
well
trust any of these people?
let's play through this because she
Yeah.
talks a bit about USAID and like I think that's particularly bad.
Policy, agenda, or theory or vision to the extent that there is a sort of cohesive principle that would bind it together.
Well, John F. Kennedy said we must end war or war will end us. I look at war and peace much the same way I look at sickness and health. Sickness is the absence of health. Health isn't the absence of sickness. And war is the absence of peace. Peace is not the absence of war. So I think we need to wage peace as seriously as we wage war. And as I was mentioning before, there
Peace is not. What the fuck is she saying?
Yeah, what is
are
she saying right
specific
there?
factors involved in waging peace. There are specific peace. Sickness is the absence of health. Health isn't the absence of sickness. And war is the absence of peace. Peace is not the absence of
What the fuck is she saying? This is the same thing as the macro and the micro and the. It's the same fucking thing, except that she's replacing the words. It's just listen.
war and peace much the same way I look at sickness and health. Sickness is the absence of health. Health
But she
isn't the
doesn't.
absence of sickness.
Health
war is
isn't
the absence
sickness
of
is
peace.
the
Peace is
absence of
not the
health.
absence of war.
There.
So I think we need to wage peace as seriously as we wage war.
And then she
And as I
talks
was
about
mentioning before,
USAID.
there are specific factors involved in waging peace. There are specific things that you can do to increase the incidence of peace. Right now, we have an $858 billion military budget. We have a $60 billion State Department budget. And we have something like $1.9 billion that we give to the USAID. Now, of those three, the USAID arguably does more to create peace in the
Okay,
world because
let's
it
pause it
actually
for a
addresses.
second. Let's pause it for a second. So let's make one thing really clear. Once again, if people are not familiar with USAID, it is literally the regime change arm, soft power arm of the State Department. So they're not there to do nice things. They're there to overthrow governments. So like right there, huge red flag, terrible, terrible policy right there. And it basically is saying that she's willing to be controlled by the deep state. Anyway, I like that just bothers me so much about her.
See, there's like amongst these people, it's just general platitudes until you like get across some kind of point that sort of references the question. But notice how like they never have any sort of like specific policy positions or
No,
like,
it's
oh, I'm
just
going to do this or I want to do that. It's always like we have a giant military.
problem. We need to
cut
like
the
do this.
budget.
Yeah.
Which I'm not.
Nothing
I'm,
concrete.
I don't even think
Needs
she's
of
for
people.
like
So I
supporting like cutting the military. I mean,
I don't
I
think-
would need to see the
we
specific
want a
evidence.
foreign
Not at
policy,
all.
first of all,
No,
where
she's talking
diplomacy,
about she talks
State
more about
Department efforts of
imperialism.
diplomacy
Yeah, let's play through
take
it.
far more primacy. They have been sort of cast to the side of the room. It's the opposite of what used to be true. It used to be true that the State Department was at the table and the military guys were sitting in the back of the room. Today, the military people are at the table and the State Department. You know, it used to be that if you were having a foreign policy discussion and somebody said, "Oh, we can't do that. That we can get that past state." That would be taken very seriously. Today, it's like a
making stuff
joke.
up.
People would
Got
roll their
$2
eyes. Dude, state's not
from
going to like it. So
CEO
we have to go in and
Applejack
clean all
here.
that up. Now,
Can't
having
stand
said that,
Marianne Williamson. I don't think
I look
anyone
at the U.S.
can.
military like I look at a surgeon. If you have
Fucking
to have surgery,
four-pilled
you better
lady.
believe you want to have the best surgeon.
Chakra.
But you're also, any
She's-
reasonable person
she's
would
like
seek
a
to avoid
chakra,
surgery if at all possible. So we have a history of
She's a
imperialistic
chakra
misadventures
AOC.
in
All
this
right,
country.
here she is talking about
We
imperialism.
know the criminality of the Iraq War, the thousands of people, possibly millions of people, if you count people elsewhere, who have died from Vietnam to Iraq, and certainly the last 20 years or so in Afghanistan. I think America has a lot to atone for. Our imperialism, quite simply. I think that we are needing to turn a corner, and I think there are some people within the defense establishment, or
Okay.
at least the foreign policy
So-
establishment, who are trying to do that. Undeniably, however,
All right,
there is
that's
in
enough
this
of that.
town what's called.
I think. So my issue with her so much is that she's like, yeah, we got a problem with imperialism. Oh, but USAID does so many good things. And so it's clear that she A, doesn't know what she's talking about, and B, like doesn't understand or is like willfully ignorant to how our military industrial complex operates. And that's like, it's fine if she wants to focus on like the happy-go-lucky and like more like the virtue signaling and identity politics stuff, but like I just think like her foreign policy position should be like an instant disqualifier. And like, if there's one person who's saying everything that would lead us to nuclear war, it's this lady, because she's going to get pushed around by the State Department and the deep state.
She's just gonna fall right into it like a fucking sand trap. I mean, like,
You know, like, so listen, like Samantha Powers was posting that stuff about, oh, we need to help Hungary. And what was the other thing that Samantha Powers put out? I should have picked this up before, but she put out 2 videos recently about USAID on Twitter. And it was her, and like, you know, whenever you see her face and she's talking about a country, it's like, oh, we're years away from trying to overthrow this country's government. And Marianne Williamson's like, no, they do all the good stuff. So you know, it's only a time before we go to war if she was in the Oval Office. There's no doubt in my mind, like, we would be in war within a month, with like a new war. Not saying we wouldn't be in any, but there'd be more. Without
and
a
it's
doubt.
not only that, like, I really believe that your foreign policy positions sort of kind of reflect everything else, because we have such an expansive military budget that you understand like how much of a U.S. Treasury that's eating up as well, like, which I think, like, if you have a position where that's distributed among social services and like, and somehow funding trickling it downwards, whatever you can do with that money, and even climate change as well too, because as long as you're not willing to cut the military budget by at least 70%, we just shouldn't be active in any.
Well, here's the thing. So, I mean, that's a good point, because I think between both of us, neither of us really think that any president would cut in a million years the defense budget by 70%. Would never happen.
No. This is a cope. This is 100% cope.
I'm more like, okay, what is the likelihood that this woman is capable of being manipulated more than we already are? You know, is she able to make it worse, or can she like keep it where it's like just as bad as it is right now? And I would think she would make it worse. Like, I'm not a fool to think that like they would cut the defense budget in half. I'm not a fool to think that like war is going to end because we put a different person in power who says the right things to us. But like at least don't be a fool to like the fucking military industrial complex, you know? Like, be educated about that, or you're going to get us all killed. You know, she'll take us to China. She'll fucking take us to war in China for sure.
Yeah, no, because it'll happen exactly like Trump. She'll be surrounded by these like CIA,
Dude,
FBI.
what kind of ghouls would she put in her cabinet?
Like,
oh my god!
Yeah, she'll be just there, you know, standing with her chakras and talking about how we need world peace. With like yes, Mike Pompeo.
Dude.
Yes, we need more bombs in Iran.
She'll be wearing the Kenti cloth in the fucking Oval Office.
Yeah. What you got? You got some sparkling right there. You got some sparkling there.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, dude. Sometimes I like the bubbles.
It's what my parents got, so that's what I'm drinking.
Well, you know, like I have these phases where like, well, apparently it's worse for you, like carbonated water, as opposed to like regular.
I believe it. Here's like, so to take a little sidetrack. I like at my one of my big New Year's. No, seriously, my big New Year's New Year's resolution was to like basically stop drinking tap water because of like all the fluoride shit that I've been hearing about.
Oh, fuck that! You're drinking tap?
I used to drink a lot of tap water, like filtered, non-filtered, like filtered for the most part, but like I haven't drank any tap water since New Year's. So that's
well,
like
bottled water is expensive, y'all. It's fucking. It's not. It's not easy.
Need to get on zero water. I've been told the zero water filters are the way to go.
What is zero water?
Yeah, it's just like I think you can get them at like Walmart.
Different than like a Brita?
Gets the fluoride out of it.
Speaking of water, I might refill. I'll just play this.
The blob, the defense establishment, which exerts tremendous power, even though the neoconservative views of the Iraq War, etc., had been proven to have been utter failures and utter wrongs. That power is still exerted, and they'd have a problem when it comes to me.
So Bernie made some news recently when, in an interview, he said we should condition aid to Israel now contingent upon some sort of a peace deal and Palestinians getting human rights. Do you agree with that position that we should condition our aid to Israel? In other words, if they start
We should
bombing
stop.
Gaza or something
We
like
should
that,
stop
something
aid to
casualties, we
Israel.
go, "Man,
Stop
you know
aid
what?
to Israel.
Sorry, but those billions we give you, you're not getting them back."
Absolutely, no money should go to Israel that's not specifically for defense purposes. Absolutely.
What is your view of what's going on
Wait,
in Israel
gotta
right
pause
now?
that,
There was
but
just recent
anyway.
Trump's
Sorry.
ambassador.
Oh, you're good.
Okay, now I'm back.
So
I
one of the things.
refilled. Go ahead.
So the one little note I want to make about that. So Marianne Williamson, she mentioned, she's like, all aid should be conditional on defense purposes only. What the hell does that mean? What the hell does that mean?
Oh,
So
it's
Iron
just
Dome,
it's
it just
it's an
means
empty
Iron Dome.
platitude like everything else.
Yeah. It's like, oh well, we need to put these freaking drone cameras that shoot Palestinians on site, like, for defense. Like, I just it's just like she's either willfully ignorant or like totally taken by the propaganda that, like, she's an idiot, right? She's just an idiot.
It's one thing. It's one thing to take like this spiritual stuff and kind of. I don't know.
I think there's some truth to spirituality and stuff like that.
No, there is.
I'm
like bought into like the spiritual stuff that she's saying, but it's the political package that she's selling with it that like really makes it like, ugh, for me. Like, what is happening? Like, this is not like a fighter character. This is like a monk
pushover.
Yeah, like I don't like. It's not even like I wouldn't even call that like necessarily pushover, but like when Bernie ran in 2016, like you can't act like he wasn't scorched earth or he wasn't like aggressive towards Hillary Clinton.
Oh,
or
he was.
Any of the, like he's running in the fucking primary. You're supposed to shit on the other Democrats. That's what they do. Mm-hmm. What about when Tulsi shat on Kamala during those debates?
Or back in the day when Mike Revelle freaking called them all demons. He was like, I'd be terrified to be like in the same room with these people.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get the man. I mean, this is all like getting towards because I have this built up anger towards the Vanguard people. They're just so. I mean, and they They not only shat on RBN, but they shat on Due Dissidents as well, which are two friends of the show, two friends of the INN program. And God, fuck these fucking kids. I don't know how old they are. They're probably fucking my age. Like
famously sort of very pro-Israel and very hawkish, was condemning Netanyahu's attacks on the independent judiciary.
And like
there.
Crystal and Kyle, like
it's terrible what's happening.
They're just giving layups.
This is the most far-right government that the country has ever seen. The attacks, as you mentioned, on the judiciary there were 100,000 people in the streets in Tel Aviv protesting this. I'm very concerned. You know, when you have someone like Anthony Blinken going over there, and even him saying in public, watch it, baby. I think that means something, and I think that is the appropriate. I'd love to hear President Biden said, watch it.
Literally means nothing.
And you would certainly hear that from me.
So when it comes to Ukraine and Russia,
okay, here's Ukraine.
This has been a very heated topic for understandable reasons. People point out you have an illegal and offensive invasion against a country that didn't attack Russia.
Well, first of all, poor framing by
you also
Kyle.
have people pointing out, hey, NATO sort of built up to Russia's border.
What makes you? I'll let him talk.
Well, he's Kyle's on the side. Kyle's not really like neutral about it.
He has like this fucking insane foreign policy position where it's okay. Let's give them some weapons, but not too much. And then also, let's not give them tanks. Let's not give them F-16s. Let's not give them, Patriot missile systems. No, we'll just that's off the table. Just give them some money, just so that they can defend for themselves. And then here comes a year later, we're sending tanks, we're sending F-16s, we're sending Patriot missile systems, and it just keeps on fucking building, and we're going on the fucking edge of World War III because of these people, because they have this soft position where it's like, no, they need some. I mean, we're after all, like, we have the money. I mean, we should be, a force for good. I mean, we're America, right? I mean, if we have the money,
that's the thing. That's the thing.
I really don't understand the concept of these people. Are you saying that we have no geopolitical interest in this whatsoever at all? Is that what you're trying to say? Because that doesn't.
I mean, and that's like, it speaks to a bigger point. Is like if you have to think that Crystal and Kyle are both quite familiar with how the system works. They're like pretty entrenched into it. And if we can have these conversations so willingly, like so easily and obviously aware of this, they're lying on TV, like just like deliberately, you know, they're working for the Democrats. They're not having a neutral show. They're not having like their own opinion. They're like doing the bidding of the Democratic Party, you know, because you have to think it. They know better. Like Kyle knows that we're funding Nazis. You know, they both know that NATO has been encroaching for decades. Like they know these things. They deal with politics every single day.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's what it is. I mean, you have to understand like a lot of these people are here for the access. I mean, they're friends.
Exactly.
They're not like this isn't like just like endorsing like a random, you know, independent candidate or like whatever candidate.
Yeah,
is
they're
running.
homies.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know what it is. Like, I mean, maybe if there was like a quote unquote like progressive candidate, like not like we haven't seen this before with AOC or Rashida Tlaib or fucking Jamal Bowman. Like we haven't seen this play out over and over again with these Congress people. But this one person who's saying the same exact things, and also she's really kind of not that great and like really not that you know, genuine, and seems like she's just talking out of her ass half the time and is not really specific.
They're just doing Marianne a solid.
Yeah, like I mean, this is really just a fist bump to her friend Marianne.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but putting all that aside, I think the more important question here and the more important point is, as president, would you actually try to get to the negotiation table and try to work diplomacy? Because that's actually a controversial position here in this city where we're sitting, in D.C. Nobody's allowed to say the word negotiation or diplomacy, because then they say, oh, you're appeasing, you're Neville Chamberlain, you know, you can't make a deal with the madman or whatever. Do you think that that's the way to go, negotiation and diplomacy, or should we continue effectively funding the Fox war?
Well, it's a complicated situation, but of course the goal should be negotiation. Of course, the goal should always be negotiation and diplomacy. And General Milley and the Rand Corporation have said that that is the only possibility here. So I think the question is, when can that happen? I think that those are, you know, I've heard so many people on both sides of that topic come to the conclusion that, of course, you want a negotiated settlement. The only issue is, when is that possible? Some say the United States could come in there right now and say, I want a negotiated settlement. And of course, we want a negotiated settlement. The United States should do anything possible to make that happen. I have my questions about whether or not Vladimir Putin would be as open as we might like to such conversations if we were to say it today.
Motherfucker, you had 2 times. They tried already. They already tried.
Propaganda. No, but she even mentions Johnson.
But that absolutely should be the goal, and the analysis should always be at what point and how can we best exercise. She knows that Johnson
went there last year.
Our power to influence this situation in such a way that negotiation and diplomacy, in order to save lives, in order to decrease the risk of nuclear encounter, might occur. Absolutely.
What do you make of the reports that early on in the war?
Okay, I mean, these people are just buying into it, but well, let's just they're just taking it. They're just taking it like a, you know, the Marianne dick to the mouth, like they were trained to do. So we'll let's get fast forward to where she like pretty much directly endorses Biden. There's around like 9:25.
Mm-hmm.
I love Bernie Sanders with his 2 runs. Towards the end of his campaign, I had some very, very strong disagreements with how he was approaching the situation. You know, he dropped out, endorsed Joe Biden. They did this very sad-looking hostage-like phone call where, do you support the $15 minimum wage deal? Yeah, Bernie, I support. I was watching it. Okay, it just felt gross. So here's, let me set up a hypothetical here. I'm very curious what your answer is to this. Let's say we're at the end of the summer. The race is over. You made a phenomenal run. You got 42% of the vote came up just short. Joe Biden calls you, and Joe Biden says, "Hey, Marianne, you know, look, we've said things about each other over this past however long, but you know, I'm an old school politician, and I want to talk to you. I want to have a meeting. Let's talk. Let's make a deal."
Joe was on good then.
Yes, he was. And you know, so you get into the talk with him, and he very clearly is looking for your endorsement, for you to drop out and to endorse him. Could the American people have your word that in a meeting like that, you will have a list? Here are 5 things, 10 things, all things that you have the authority to do as President of the United States. You don't need Congress. This is all things you can theoretically do through executive orders, just like the lowering of prescription drugs like we talked about before. Will you give people your word that you won't just roll over and say, yes, I'll endorse you, I'm not going to ask anything in return? will it be contingent upon, I'll endorse you, but here's what I'm getting in return for it. And by the way, if you don't deliver on that, this is not over, then I'm going to publicly crusade against you and remind everybody you broke your word.
I remind you that I'm not a legislator. I don't have a political career there that I have to worry going back to. If I got 42% of the vote, you think then I just fold and walk away and not take anything with me after all that I and so many other people would have had to go through to get that 42%?
And people are saying that, I mean, she's just, there might be a little bit of echo, but like people are saying like this is like her, this is proof that she's this is not, this is her saying that she's going to do a dirty break, when it's really just her just talking in circles to like avoid the question over and over. Let me go back a little bit.
I'll endorse you, but here's what I'm getting in return for it. And then, by the way, if you don't deliver on that, this is not over. Then I'm going to, publicly crusade against you and remind everybody you broke your word.
I remind you that
What'd you say?
I just think it's funny that, like, Kyle knows his audience thinks Joe Biden is so unpalatable and so disliked that they're like, if you had a crystal ball, literally, and had all these magical things happen to Joe Biden, would you endorse Joe Biden? Because, like, basically everybody hates him. So I just think it's, like, again, really funny how Kyle frames this stuff to make her palatable.
And it's always like, it's always like her answer is always like, well, it depends, which really just means, when the gun is put to my head, yes, I'm going to endorse Joe Biden.
I'm not a legislator. I don't have a political career there that I
Thank you for saying
back
don't
to.
vote for
if
me.
I got 42% of the vote, you think then I just like fold and walk away and not take anything with me after all that I and so many other people would have had to go through to get to 42%? No, I would not. No, I would not walk away easy. And no, absolutely.
So you'd have a list of demands.
I would have a list of demands, and I would
negotiate it.
Well, absolutely, and I would consider all options actually, and how I thought that I could, with that 42%, make a difference in this country. You better believe it.
What did you learn last time around?
I don't know if it's so much what certainly I learned a lot about just what it means to run for president. There's no doubt about that. But I think the changes in myself more than anything. I've talked to Nina Turner about this. When you go through a certain kind of acid bath of the hate that people throw at you, the smears, the mischaracterizations, the lies, it gives you some emotional antibodies. There are things that I can ignore now. That you say, like, how could they say that about me? I'm just like, whatever. That's what they do. And
now she's just. I mean, it's really more than just saying things, and I mean, I think that like really kind of takes the point here. I mean, I'm trying to show the part where the Vanguard kind of goes like right over this, and it flies right over their head. They're pretty much, it's pretty much like completely sold to them this idea that she's going to make this break at some point. But here, let me bring up this tab.
Yeah, I mean, like, she's like, yeah, I don't have a background in politics. I don't know what I'm doing. I like put crystals together.
Okay,
like,
this is the wrong one.
I just don't think she is.
Okay, they do bring it up here, and gotta pop this tab back up. And I also want to say they pretty much shit on Do Dissidents to high heaven over here. To be fair, they kind of go back and forth with each other, and it's kind of fun to watch because like everyone hates these people, but it just kind of insulting, really, because I mean.
Says here, many people, despite their
These
disagreements,
people, all they have after they lose an argument is ad hominem. So I mean,
with Marianne, find value in there being any alternative to Biden's campaign, no matter how flawed. Even if electoralism isn't their focus, no one has to give Marianne money or time. But some folks will appreciate the value of having any alternative narrative to Biden's out there, and that is not the same as being some centrist sop. I totally agree with that, right? And especially in the post Bernie Sanders era.
Okay. It's over here.
On a similar note, and I think she gave Lady concessions and telling. Let me see here real quick.
to do that. And if you want to find the best case scenario,
There was also some talk here about how if she runs in the Democratic Party, and she receives donations through Act Blue, and then she, let's say she does the dirty break, then she can possibly get sued by Act Blue for
because
running.
isn't Ag Blue part of the DNC? It's their DNC's
I don't know.
like funding.
I'm not like someone will have to verify how exactly that works, but
because they definitely all have like everybody who runs in the Democratic Party. Like, I have it pulled up here if you want it, but like they have to sign. They have that pledge that they sign saying that they're going to nominate whoever. They nominate whoever becomes a nominee. They put their full force behind them. So like,
I don't know. Like, where is that? Where'd you find that article? I'll pull it up.
I just Googled it. It was though.
Because I want to I just want to verify what that means. I mean, I'm not like a lawyer.
Here's AP.
Electoral,
here's the AP article. Let me see.
And it's really disgusting here because like as much as they call RBN and everyone else like just Jimmy Dore leeches, they're literally just like Kyle Kalinske leeches. They'll say anything. They'll say anything as like that just agrees with their position because they see them as the holy grail, the holy grace of leftism, like the most pure, the most honest people. When really they're funded by Pierre Omidyar or Hudson Institute. Like it's really just.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. To the account. Did you send it to me? The article?
Yeah, on Twitter.
Oh yeah. Hold on a second.
Yeah, because I thought Act Blue was like when you make funding to DNC candidates, like it goes through Act Blue. That's like the pot.
Am I gonna have to get out of here, please? Democrats push candidates to fully commit to 2020 nominee. The Democratic National Committee is increasing pressure on its presidential candidates to commit to the campaign nominee in 2020, going beyond a previous loyalty pledge for the White House hopefuls.
Remember, because that's why Bernie endorsed Hillary. That's why Bernie endorsed Biden. I mean, allegedly, he just didn't want to be Nader, but we all knew he could have ran in 2016. We knew he could have ran independent, and he didn't. We knew he could have ran independent and easily beaten Hillary, and would have beaten Trump.
And remember the short NBA strike that happened in 2020 that Obama stepped in?
Yeah.
Like these people will do anything it takes, really anything it takes, in order to get their chosen candidate through, because it's really not your choice as it is obvious to many people. And I think, I'm not sure how to exactly verify this article. But this is seems to be Bill Barrow from AP. Went to Harvard. I mean, so given
I remember about the pledge for years. I remember they had that way back. I remember them in 2020 very specifically because they were that was why they were also dead set. Remember, Trump derangement happened it was live and well in 2020, and I think that was a major reason that the pledge existed.
So given that the case that we're just operating on this assumption that Marianne can in fact do a dirty break at some point.
I don't think she can.
And which legally she might not be able to. I don't think she will.
Well, and that's kind of the part where the DNC operates as a company, and they actually went to court. What was the thing that the DNC went to court for? To freaking nominate whoever they wanted. That they could completely ignore the will of the people and just nominate whoever they want. And the court ruled in their favor. They're like, the DNC is a business. They can do what they want.
It's really...
Like I can
mean,
pull that article to do, but
and
like
again,
it doesn't matter. It's all a circus. It's just make believe.
Yeah, I mean, it's really. I mean, I think it's far beyond like any sort of like we're really coping hard here. This is really Bernie Sanders supporters who are like just stabbed in the. They're like zombies at this point. They're so beaten down by the level of betrayal that they've turned into like literal like mutations of their former selves. They're like these like zombie like progressives that are like just.
I think that's part of it. I just think it's like the Overton window is this big, and like people don't know anything beyond just going to the voting booth. So
Yeah, there's no nuance. I mean, like when you talk to people in real life, like to people who like don't give a shit about politics, they don't know about any of this shit. Well, they do know like how specific things affect their lives, like inflation and the price of eggs and the price of gas, and which happens to be directly, influenced by the Ukraine war, which is all of these policy decisions that are being made by the people who you supposedly vote for. So,
right.
like, yeah, I think it's safe to like care a little bit, like about like what it is, and like I don't give shit to people like who like do not pay attention to this shit. I wish I didn't, honestly. Like, I wish I knew less.
Yeah,
I wish I could go back.
I get where you're coming from with that. It can be kind of consuming.
Hi, Pat. How you doing? It's Pat from VCNJ, Voters' Choice, New Jersey. But. Really, and she's on MSNBC. She did the whole rounds on all the mainstream media sources, and thank KSWQB for this clip, because the Vanguard are completely bought into that this is not her saying anything. She's just trying to put together some sort of I don't know like what exactly she's trying to.
That's actually not what I heard at all. I think that she still is kind of hinting that she would be open to a dirty break. But
what does
that
even mean?
I think it could be heard a few different ways.
So she runs independent and runs against who? Trump and Biden. She thinks she could beat Trump or Biden.
I don't know what her plan. There's no plan. That's the problem. Is that like whenever we have something that like whenever like we're trying to do something like we'll talk like something about like Rage Against the War Machine. Like they'll shit on it and they'll go after it viciously, especially like right beforehand. But then like when it comes to like their chosen political candidates who are running within the two-party system, and they want you to be fully behind her because you agree on her with like some issues. Like they want your full support, and you don't want them to shit on her because they want to pick. Well, first of all, it's really a trickle down of influence between Kyle and Crystal Ball, who are really friends with these people and were really bought into the idea. And it's really like a personal relationship type thing. And then these people are really just kind of just leeching off that, or they're trying to join the friend group and it's like not working. Well, they're like too far away.
It's just a different audience. Like I think, like there's the internet crowd with the Kyle. Like we're like all of us and stuff who are watching it. Like this is more for like the boomers and shit. This is like who's watching MSNBC.
You would say Kyle and Crystal or the Vanguard is for boomers?
No. I think no. I'm talking about her on the like MSNBC. I don't mean.
Oh yeah. Okay.
No, right. Vanguard, Kyle. That's all like the internet. It's just like different demographics that she's reaching out to. But like. Right. Okay.
Diversity making South Carolina first. Now, South Carolina is an important state in the primary season, so I'm not denying that. But to say that this has nothing to do with the James Clyburn machinery, it has nothing to do with Jamie Harrison. These are ways that the larger democratic process is being stymied. This is not 100 years ago when men get to sit around a table smoking cigars, deciding who the nominee will be.
Okay, we've got less than a minute left, and I'm going to squeeze in two more questions.
I thought we were going to talk about black people in South Carolina.
Well, we were just a minute ago, but okay. So you're running against a sitting president,
Yes, I
which
am.
is a daunting task.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are thinking, what's she going to do if she's not successful? Will you support the Democratic nominee? Will you support the party if you are not the nominee?
And here
I'm
it
going
is.
to do everything possible as a patriotic American to make sure that the neo-fascist authoritarian threat that is very real in our country and is very entrenched at this point within the Republican Party does not win the White House in 2024. That's why I'm running.
It's fucking. She's AOC, dude. She's like. It's not like.
I know,
It's
she
not
is
like
more like
she's
AOC than
any
Bernie.
more. These people are comparing her to Bernie Sanders. She's
No,
not
you're
Bernie
right.
Sanders.
Well, Bernie
Like,
Sanders
she's-
actually kind of knew what he was talking about, and
Yeah,
probably
like
a
he,
little bit more
like
dangerous
he,
in that way. But
Bernie Sanders, like to some degree, at least like understood class solidarity. Like he was there at the Amazon like protests. I mean,
like she's
you know,
just
for whatever
appealing to a
credit I can
demographic.
give him, it's at least like some shit like that. You know, but, like I'm not sitting here like talking about the neo-fascist threat amongst the Republican Party. Like half of these people don't give a fuck. They watch Fox News because it's pretty much the popular channel, the most popular channel in America. This is a rather conservative country, but really they're really not that conservative when you talk to real people in real life. And it's kind of like what Jimmy, so Jimmy Dore did actually say a joke in his rally at Rage Against the War Machine, like as long as like the left understands that not like all the right wing is not all like neo-fascist Nazis, and no like the as long as like the right understands that like not everybody on the left likes people like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, and as long as everyone on the left understands that everyone on the right is not just these fascist gun nuts, they're really just gun nuts, which is in my experience the absolute truth. These people are not like insane, they're not racist, they're not like, when you talk to these people in real life, when you have real life conversations with these people, like if you can, if like, and I've been to protests, I've been to like I've seen this shit in real life. Like if you show me someone who is like an actual, who will openly be racist in like real life and considers themselves like a representative, or at least like influenced by like some conservative ideology, and or just happens to align themselves with the Republican Party, or just watches fucking Fox News and just doesn't know what they're talking about. Like
that's the most
you have
part.
to give these people the benefit of the doubt, and like half the time they're really just suffering under these fucking crushing wages and getting our social security cut and increasing the retirement age to like fucking 90 years old. We're gonna be working until we fucking die because of these people, and they don't give a fuck. I mean, like really, like
I think she's not really talking about neo-fascist voters. She's just talking about Trump. She's just that's just a TDS statement.
She's talking about the neo-fascist Republican Party, which like I really.
It sounded like, I mean, I get what you're saying. It just kind of sounded like
which
TDS
is not really like a threat. Like I would like to like completely undermine. It's not something that like, it's not like it's anything that's like different from the neo-fascist neoliberal party. Like it's really
exactly.
It's not. What kind of like fundamental policy differences are you getting between these two parties? Because I'm not seeing any. Like really, like I don't think there would be any difference. I mean, you could probably convince me that maybe under Trump we wouldn't have been involved in Ukraine. But perhaps that's the case. But he had fucking Mike Pompeo and John Bolton on his cabinet.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't trust that motherfucker. He put Julian Assange in fucking prison. So fuck that guy.
Exactly.
Like I don't trust him either. So like what? Like
it's not
you
different. That's why I mean
it's
just Trump derangement. She's just like, it's the MSNBC crowd that she's speaking to now. It's just Trump derangement. I spoke to my dad like earlier about like politics. Not talking to him very much. And it's just like, we gotta worry about, we gotta be concerned about Trump. He's terrible. We gotta worry about it. We'll do whatever it takes. So that's just, I think it's just, she's just like basically like using a euphemism to speak to that crowd, like the boomer crowd.
Well, that's essentially what she's doing. She's influencing her language in order to appeal to a certain crowd.
It's just dog whistles.
And the Vanguard thinks that's a good thing. I mean,
I mean,
Okay.
like
I mean,
they like
I think you should run on issues that like are fundamental to real working class people. But that's just me. I mean, if you want to say empty platitudes to national television because it's popular amongst the liberal crowd, go ahead. You see how that runs for you. Let me get more water.
I do not believe that the offering of an agenda where basically the message is the economy is doing well will beat the Democrats in 2024. So I think it's the question is reversed. How are we going to win the presidency in 2024? We are going to offer to the American people genuine economic reform and not just helping you survive what is essentially an unjust system. That's why I'm running.
that's not why you're.
Yeah. So we also got tagged.
Watch some shit on Due Dissidence here. Keaton or Russell, if you're watching, this is the attack. They're going right in.
In a tweet by those Do Dissident guys, that guy and his grandpa. That I mean, it's a cool show. The kid and his grandpa, won gold. They just wanted to wipe Jimmy Dore's ass one day. I'm pulling for them, but they were like, "See,"
which is not true at all. I mean, like I know Keaton. Like these people started on Facebook like that. Here's Do Dissidence. Like exactly. Here's Do Dissidence in chat. They saw it. Okay, they're aware. I mean, I just want to point this
That's
out.
funny.
Like, these people are so fucking right. Like, there's no
so much cope.
there's no like.
These guys get me
like,
so
argument.
angry.
It's just like let's just like throw like names and ad hominems and like see like
she says she's not going to do it.
Like, that's why they have to throw Brianna Joy Gray calls out RBN like as much as like RBN and like Jimmy Dore and like all these people use like clickbait titles. I mean, like let's be honest, fucking everyone does it. Like everyone does it. It's called SEO. Like it's just like what people do on YouTube. Like I'm sorry that like people use titles to like fucking like stand out. But, okay.
A dirty break, and I was like, man, I think some of your grandpa's dementia is running off on you, because she doesn't say that at all in the clip right here, right? What does she say? She says that she's going to do everything in her power to defeat the fascist GOP, and that she believes her candidacy is uniquely primed to do that job. So I'm curious why I got a bunch of tweets at me being like, see, at Vanguard Pod, at Brianna Joy Gray Pod, like fucking she says she's not going to do a dirty break, when that's clearly not what's happening right here. There's absolutely no reason to do that. And if you want to find the best case scenario,
what are you where did she say that?
Right.
When did
like
she?
what planet are you?
Are we
on?
watching the same clip? Are we watching the same?
So I think it's the question is reversed. The offering in 2024. That's why I'm running. I do not believe very entrenched point within the Republican Party does not win the White House in 2024. That's why I'm running.
She's running so that the Democrats win. She just said it. She just told it to you. What about this tells you that how convinced are you that
how could you interpret a clean break, a dirty break? Tell me. How could you I'm going to do whatever it takes, like she's running a Democrat platform?
It's not only that, she's telling you the truth.
Yeah, she literally never said, I'm going to just endorse Joe Biden and sheep herd my supporters into the Democratic Party. She did.
She said that she said word for word. Let's make this clear. Let's set things straight.
We need to make sure the neo-fascists.
She said that the reason why she's running is in order to defeat the neo-fascist Republican Party. Is that not what she said? That's what I heard. I take that as she's running so that the Democrats can win.
Yes.
Okay.
Did not say that. She said, I'm running because the Christo-fascist threat of the Republican Party needs to be defeated. And I'm the candidate to do it. That doesn't mean she's not going to keep running if Joe Biden
they're clapping.
For the
they love it.
Party nomination. I absolutely think she would consider.
That's the only problem to these people. It's only Trump. There's no DNC corruption.
They're pretending that an independent candidate could defeat a Republican, and her of all people. They're what? They're just delusional.
It's running third. It's like I said, it's beyond that. Like these people believe in these fantasies. They're in a
running independent in the event that they rig the system against her. Similarly, she was asked a question on Crystal Kyle Friends the other day, on a similar note, and I think she gave a kind of similar answer. I want to find it here real quick because Kyle essentially asked her, "Are you gonna?"
And Zach is like pretty much the most insufferable
policy concessions
like,
in exchange for an
he's really just
endorsement.
like,
And the way she answered, I thought was very telling. Let me see if we can find that real quick.
Mean anything?
Yeah, absolutely. While we're looking for that really quick, I think we do have a couple of super chats as well. Let me go ahead and pull.
This is a common occurrence for them. They have these they make their money off of haters. They have haters that like send money to them, asking them like serious questions, and they're them sitting there telling them to fuck off. Like watch
back
Zach
up through here.
What? No, like seriously.
People calling him on their shit.
He asshole here to someone who paid him $2 to ask him a question, and he said that he timed him out.
Praising Joe Biden in your campaign video is bad. Yeah, I didn't love that, to be honest. But
so like I clipped this on Twitter, right? But I have this. I have this as a tweet. So to make sure I get all the points here.
Yeah, that's crazy. That he just so the only people ask good questions, and then he takes it a little bit too personally because they have terrible takes. Like where do you have to go when you have nothing but like sweet praises to say of Marianne Williamson saying absolutely nothing?
And so this is pretty much exactly the point.
Praising Joe Biden in your campaign video is bad. Yeah, I didn't love that, to be honest, but I can see what she's trying to do, trying to not alienate the people that support Joe Biden. It wouldn't have been my move, but Gavin, what did you think about that?
Yeah, well, she said we owe Joe Biden a tremendous debt of gratitude for defeating Donald Trump. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that in the context of running in a Democratic primary, because let's be honest, guys, the people she needs to appeal to most are the kind of normie Democrat voters, a lot of which are old, a lot of which watch MSNBC. She can't just appeal to fucking people on progressive.
Which doesn't make any sense. How many people who voted for Obama voted for Trump? How many people who voted for Bernie voted for Trump? These people aren't like these aren't like two-sided issues. Like politics is not like so black and white that it's literally divided into two camps. It's so nuanced that there's a spectrum of like it's beyond a spectrum because you could have different policy positions and like sort of be kind of camped into one party, but then you kind of disagree with some of like the mainstream platform. Like everyone has different opinions as part of like what fucking politics is, and like to appeal like to just these standard. If you're really intending to challenge the system, but you are wanting to appeal to these MSNBC liberal types, I really don't understand what exactly are you trying to do besides
just give tongue baths to the Democrats
project. Like I really don't.
Exactly. Like Zach and Gavin. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not really who she ultimately needs to win this primary or to be successful. She needs to appeal to normies. And unfortunately, a lot of normies, a lot of people that vote in the Democratic Party primary,
I would concede that Bernie did, in fact, appeal to some liberals. I think. But he also got shat on by a lot of liberals. Like, let's remember the Elizabeth Warren crowd.
Yeah, there was the Elizabeth Warren crowd for sure.
The K-Hive crowd. Like, everyone who called him a misogynist, everyone who called him a Russian, like everyone, like, remember, like, and, I mean, Marianne, to be fair, is, like, facing similar hate, but, like, it's really, at this point, people are just not taking her seriously. And I think... we'll show
I mean, that's the problem. More people shouldn't be taking her seriously. Like, I don't know why these guys are taking her seriously. I mean, maybe it's just I like it, like you said. It's all cope. It's all cope. They don't want Biden.
It is really cope, but like I'm okay with a little cope. Like I'm okay. Like it's like they kind of address here that both electoralism and activism is possible within the same realm, and you could do both at the same time, which I like. Okay, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, that's ultimately Chris Hedges' position. It's like 1 foot in the door and 1 foot out of the door. But fundamentally, like, what you're asking for here is to grab literally all of our attention and put it behind our focus behind this one candidate, and because I don't see these people at rallies. I don't see these people doing any sort of activism shit or mutual aid. They want to call these, like, they want to shit on RBN and say that what have you guys done besides leech off Jimmy Dore? Like, I see Rome out there in the streets of fucking Chicago.
Didn't they just get a library? Are they trying to make a library
and giving water to people? I don't know what the fuck you guys are doing. It seems like you guys, like, I don't do this that often. Like, I come on this like when like I'm like specifically pissed off about a specific like thing with like or a trend or whatever.
We're just seeing it all happen again.
They have a specific project, and it's basically to be Kyle and Crystal 2.0.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Just a clone.
They like the Democratic institution.
Do you want to put the video back?
Fuck Democratic Party. Fuck Joe Biden. Like, let's go, Brandon. She can't really do that. Would I like that? Obviously, yes. That's the energy that Zach and I, give here at the Vanguard. But that's not a really smart move for her as far as who she needs to appeal to the most, I think.
Yeah, that's totally.
I just think the whole discussion is a waste of time. Like, why? Like they were doing this 4 years ago. They saw what happened to Bernie. They think that Marianne Williamson has half the intellect or half the ability that Bernie has. And I know she's more of an AOC type, but fine. Let's compare her to AOC. Do these people really think that if AOC ran for president, she could be somebody like Trump or Biden?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm asking. Like, I'm like, I want to ask the Vanguard, honestly, would you vote for AOC as president?
They would say yes immediately.
Or would you get behind? Would you get a serious, like, after 2 years of Congress of seeing AOC, or no, more than that with AOC, after seeing all of her time as a congresswoman, would you vote for her? Would you really get a serious campaign behind AOC for president? No. The fuck no, you wouldn't. I don't think that's serious at all.
Exactly.
I think it's like pretty much like after seeing the tax direction, like AOC is she's a fool, and I think these like people kind of know that.
But I mean, at the same time, you can kind of again, I know we're making a lot of comparisons to Bernie, but I think it's kind of appropriate. Bernie's track record, for at least as long as the last 8 years or so, hasn't been that great either. No, I've seen Congress people do not need to have a very good track record to be ascended to that position.
No,
Biden has probably one of the worst records in congressional history. With the crime bill, with bankruptcy bill, with freaking all the wars, just absolute demon. And he's president. So what do they think? I don't know, man. It's just weird to me. It's just
even Bernie, you have to if we're all being honest here, Bernie was never good on foreign policy. He never was. He didn't he vote for the first Iraq or the first
I don't remember exactly, but
if you check, if you really check the votes on Bernie, if we're being really honest, Bernie was not that great on foreign policy. I mean, sure, he wanted to cut the military budget. I mean, it's a whole different avenue.
That's
see him as try to view him as president, but I mean,
well, and the other thing is when in a way you can kind of look at all the identity politics and virtue signaling and kind of focusing on social issues is really a smokescreen to let the Department of Defense and the Pentagon do whatever they want. So
yeah, and
that's why they spend so much time trying to freaking make people happy about that stuff. And I guess we've both fell for in the past, and I'm just like much more aware of what the Defense Department is doing these days. And that's why I'm like, she should be disqualified immediately for a position on foreign policy. Like
we're really just like people. We're really just falling for it again, and basically, like these are just empty platitudes that are being thrown out in the air, like similar to like what you said, and like this is like very similar to like what people like AOC do, and like if we remember back in 2016. Like even when Kamala Harris was running, like she said that she supported Medicare for all.
Yeah, they all
Remember
said it
that?
at one point.
Like,
I think
what happened?
pretty much. I think almost all of them.
There was a short period of time where Kamala Harris said that she supported Medicare for all. Nowadays, you wouldn't even fucking believe that at all. But like 4 years ago, like more than that, she did. So I mean, not 2016, 2020, but when she was running. And watch.
Yeah, because they saw how popular it was. Like 87% of people were in favor of like socialized healthcare.
Yeah, and now like I just want to give a lot of respect to RBN for what they do in terms of mutual aid and like really like understanding the importance of like putting attention towards activism, because I think that like really should take the primary focus, unlike these people who
100%.
only talk about
100%.
who they purposely only talk about electoralism because it's the only thing that fucking matters.
Well, I think it's the idea that they can say, hey, like people should do both. We're gonna focus on the stupid commentary. Somebody else do the other stuff.
Yeah, they're like here, you guys do the other job. We're gonna sit here with our podcast mics in our apartment rooms, and we're gonna talk shit about black people for an hour, 2 hours. Jeez. And then also we're gonna tell you to vote for the Democrats. That's basically what it is.
She's currently literally challenging this man. But yeah,
she's literally challenging. Exactly. So why are you not shitting on him?
So Nick says, this is the person the boutique left recruited to run a hard-hitting campaign against Jim Crow Joe. Again, this is the latest in a series of tweets from Nick
thing is, like,
and a series of attacks from the RB.
We could find a quote. We I'm sure Bernie has said the same exact thing. I'm sure Bernie has a tweet that looks just like Marianne Williamson's for like just praising Biden. And
I'm sure of it.
Hey, look, this is happening all over again. It's like, why are you shitting
on
no,
man, I mean, Bernie Sanders should have endorsed Biden for president.
Right.
We have that on record. We know.
But that's what I'm saying. Like we could find the same tweet and like be like, this literally happened before. It's not like it hasn't happened before. And I guess that's just what really bothers me.
Yeah.
Like they're just not following. They're just so dumb.
It's so disingenuous. It makes me like it's more of like an angry cringe. I don't know what to describe it, but it's like a cringe angry. I don't know how to.
The crew in general, where they're just relentlessly criticizing Marianne Williamson, nitpicking her message, nitpicking her agenda. And again, it's okay to mention your criticisms of Marianne Williamson. She's not above criticism at all. We've made criticisms here on the show. I think there are valid criticisms of her. I think she has some room to grow in a few ways. But if all you're going to do is nitpick and find a few reasons to criticize and just exclusively focus on those instead of actually giving her credit for the majority of her agenda, the majority of her platform, which is overwhelmingly progressive, which is damn near identical to the agenda and the policies of Bernie Sanders, who we all supported just 2 or 3 years ago, then I think it's just deeply dishonest and inaccurate and unfair framing. And again, just completely counterproductive to the movement we all claim to be a part of, right? Like if you support Medicare for all, if you support a progressive policy agenda for this country, and we have a presidential candidate who's challenging the neoliberal status quo and running on that progressive policy agenda, that's a good thing. Like hot take, but that's a good thing.
Yep. So he comes out just trying to throw
using like a utilitarian argument here, like where like well, it's the same thing where it's like we have just more of these people in Congress. If there's just we have just more of these.
Well,
fake,
it's lesser evilism.
It's more than that. It's like we just need more of these fake people in here so we can pretend even harder or vote harder.
Well, I mean,
get,
wouldn't the Justice Democrats be a perfect example of like getting like over like there's over 100 Justice Democrats or something like that? Like there was like, and they haven't done anything. I just like there's so many things where it's like the Medicare for All vote, the force to vote thing is like a perfect example of how all these people that we rounded up could have made a difference and could have gotten us some concessions in a time when we really needed it. And they didn't. And they even went so far to take out a position from the DSA charter about like that force to vote wasn't part of their position. It's just
Russell says the Vanguard is like if they're the background extras from Fargo podcast.
Oh my god.
Which is really like it's like really Jay and Silent Bob kind of type. I mean, at least I guess
it is kind of like that, isn't it?
Cold water on it again. I think it's just coping and seething because one, Jimmy Dore's crowd doesn't want Williamson to run, and that's their whole like they know where their bread's buttered, for if you will. Like,
what does that mean?
He hates.
Can you tell me what that means?
He just
bread your butter.
Yeah, he thinks
they don't shit on.
Shut the fuck up, Zach. Really.
Marianne Williamson, they're going to see their margins go down, and this is a business for them, I imagine, just like it is for everybody. But most people try and at least have some a little more ethics when it comes to that. I mean, it's just become a cheerleader channel for Jimmy Dore, even when his audience is mauling about Scott Adams being unfairly treated and the like. It's like, oof, are you sure you don't want to realign yourself, guys? But hey,
which is just a lie.
That's your business. That's your prerogative. But
that's just a straight up lie because Jimmy,
envies him.
when Jimmy had that segment on Scott Adams, he was talking about how he shouldn't have said that for the sake of his career.
Yeah,
and exactly. He understands, there was no fundamental point where Jimmy agreed with whatever fucking racial tirade Scott Adams was on, which was a common occurrence, to be honest.
It does seem kind of common.
Was this something that we weren't not expecting from Scott Adams? Let's be real.
Well, he was always I guess for lack of a better term, anti-woke.
Yeah,
and then
let's come on.
I think Scott Adams is not super intelligent and fell for.
No, he's definitely not. We know that from the vaccine conditions. It's clear, very clear.
He fell for the race bait, and
yeah, I know. And if anyone knows at all about Scott Adams vaccine positions and Jimmy Dore, it's that Jimmy Dore shat on Scott Adams for a long time over the vaccine, and it's very clear that it's not. There's no fucking Scott Adams standing going on within the Jimmy Dore community. I don't see that, and I don't really think that's real. That's the most disingenuous thing. That's really just a lie. It's just a lie.
What I was surprised to see is that somebody else weighed into this little bit of a discourse, Gavin, and we got to see a real text.
Yeah, and so at this point, I'm gonna get the Vanguard off the screen because they're fucking annoying. But Brianna did respond to this. The first,
this is kind of.
It's not. I'm not sure if it's
the
first tweet exactly, but yeah. So let's chat about this for a second.
Okay. Do you want to read through it?
Yeah, so no one has to like or support Marianne, but repeatedly claiming she's been recruited is odd. Doing so reframes her run as is she the best imaginable candidate instead of is there any value in this candidate running. It suggests Marianne is being used to obscure some mutually exclusive alternative plan of action, which is
I think she's gaslighting right here. Yeah, I think she's totally gaslighting.
It's straight up gaslighting. It's really. Marianne simply chose to run, and the public can choose whether to support her or divest the electoralism altogether. I don't even know why we're wasting time in electoralism, but that you do you.
But I mean, I at least understand her being passionate about electoralism considering her career. Like, so like
Let's
I kind of
also
give her a
understand-
pass on that, like, and I just see that as kind of like her blind spot.
I give Brianna Joy Gray a lot of credit. I think she speaks out in a lot of places where she's like quote unquote like typically not supposed to. And she has like most of the time like positions that are critical
good.
in a positive way to the way that we're
I agree
currently
with a
running
lot of her
politics in general.
positions.
Or at least the post Bernie era. Like she's been relatively consistent, but as soon as like a Bernie, like she's not even a Bernie light. I hate to call her that, but like that's what the comparison that we're being.
I think
given
she's to the
now.
left of Bernie.
It's literally we're just dumping a worse Bernie on you. Like, thank you, but this.
Oh yeah,
this
you're talking
didn't
about
work the
Marianne.
first
Yeah,
time. I don't know why.
but
This
you
didn't
say
work the
she's
first
more like
few
the
times.
AOC, and I think it's actually more accurate to kind of reframe her as an AOC.
Yeah. Many people, despite their disagreements with Marianne, will find value in there being any alternative to Biden's campaign, no matter how flawed. Even electoralism isn't their focus. No one has to give Marianne money or time, but some folks will appreciate the value of having any alternative narrative that Biden's out there, and that is not the same thing as being a centrist stop. I don't understand this choice of focus here.
So
I understand what she's kind of saying here. I mean, let's also
it's gaslighting. She knows better. Like the
I
thing.
mean, Bree's a lawyer, so she's very good with her choice of wording, and I think she's very good at being. I mean, the difference between Brianna and Nick is that Nick is I would say a lot of people at RBN are very like fiery, active characters, and they because they're passionate about what they do, and they're passionate about seriously building a working class movement. And I've seen that pretty consistently. It's sort of this righteous anger, which I think is a good thing. Which I think like is a good thing to have. I don't think that's. I don't think this like playing nice game is like really something because I don't remember that from the Bernie era. I don't remember that being an effective thing. So
no, it's not an effective thing. So
I don't.
I think it's just Brianna Joy Gray. She's just caught up in politics. I think she's speaking. I get the impression that she's speaking genuinely here. I don't think she has like. I don't think she's like deliberately trying to BS. I think she just really believes in the system, and I think like you said, she's probably homies with Marianne to a degree, and so it's probably like, I want to like help her out where I can. It's just shitty because I think that RBN has the right take here.
and
yeah, and then she brings in Kama Schwan. I have mixed feelings about this too. I just think like it's funny because Sawant at first like she was just going to more do a movement. It wasn't going to be like a party thing. It was my understanding that it was going to be like she was like, I'm done with freaking politics. Like it's not as helpful as I want. I need to organize outside of politics. And then here it is, they're doing a political party. So like I just have like mixed feelings about this, even though I think she's probably one of the better politicians in our country.
She has. That's the thing. There's. I feel like there's like. This is the reason why I put together, back in I think January that shit lib tier list. I really think because I really think there's a spectrum to this shit, you know, because there's people who toe the line between this shit liberalism where it's like really like kind of like fundamentally like just really just a DNC
Democrat talking points.
Democrat like that like doc like sem soc dem, and then there's people like Brianna Joy Gray who are fairly radical. They have positions that are big and they're critical of the current regime.
Yeah, she has people on her show all the time. Like here's the thing, like she said she has Finkelstein on her show who's like super critical of Israel, like incredibly critical of Israel, and like so she knows exactly what's going on. And like we could play that clip again and you'd see her like endorsing defense for Israel. Like it's just unserious, like talking out both sides of her face. So it's just
there's a little bit of a back and forth here between Nick and I hate to see this happen, but
because they're both actually are on the same side.
yeah, I mean it's really kind of sad, but I mean
It's just
but if we're
modern day polemics.
I mean, we'll see this unfold. But I asked Shama repeatedly whether leftists should sit out of the 2024 election or simply not vote or not engage, which I happen to think is a legitimate choice. Both she and Chris Hedges said no. Maybe people think it'd be flirting off the patronizing tweets about who isn't retaining info. There's no need for all of this. Which, like, again, she's making like a fairly legitimate point, which I think that you can participate in both activism and electoralism at the same time. Yes.
See, I
agree.
disagree with it.
Well, I agree that like on a personal level,
maybe in like a normal like functioning democracy where you see some cracks, but like there's some more that you could do. Like I just don't see literally anything that can be done to change anything whatsoever within electoralism in our country. So trying to divert any energy into it is literally just filling people's heads up with bullshit that they should be learning about stuff like, what is mutual aid? What does it mean to organize outside of our institutions? Oh, what is abolition? Like people should be learning about like way crazier stuff than being kind of funneled into this thinking of like, oh, you know, there's no question. You should definitely vote. You should do both. Well, what happens is when you say do both, people only do one, or people don't do anything at all. You know,
people are trying to make the point that you can technically be an activist and then also vote at the same time. I mean, most activists that I come across are voting for either the Green Party or like independent. I don't see anyone voting for.
But see, even though I guess my position with like even the Green Party and the independents, like if it's outside of maybe local elections, like why? Because I just think at that point you're kind of like legitimizing the system. Like, you know that they're not going to win. You know that they're not going to get a seat. You know that they're not going to get any delegates. Like, what are you doing? You know, are you giving yourself a little pat in the back that you did your thing, kind of like, oh, fuck the duopoly. Like, okay, cool.
Has Brianna mentioned anything about John Moskikov about Worker Strike Back? I don't know. I mean, I could look that up in the background, but what was the trend?
I mean, I haven't seen. I know actually, didn't Nick speak at the? Didn't they have like a conference a few days ago? Nick spoke.
Yeah, they spoke. They spoke at Seattle. For
I got a completely different impression when. Who was she on? Because she might have been on Brianna Joy Gray's show, or
she was on Brianna.
And she was talking about the workers, and it didn't give any impression to me when I watched it that she was going into electoralism. It was like quite the opposite. I was like, oh, this is awesome. She gets it. And then it's like, oh, you want another candidate? It's going to be like another kind of like something better than the My People like MPP, but it's still not. It's still graveyard at the end of the day. I just feel very strongly that like. Anybody who understands that electoralism is a waste of time should be like putting all their focus into like not only telling people like activism, but actively discouraging people from participating in the system.
Like, I think so. The thing is like you can technically do like all of that at once at the same time. Like you can vote and you could be like a Medicare activist, and I guess
how I feel about it is like you're still giving people kind of like a false hope.
I'm saying no, like I'm trying to just be the devil's advocate. Like I'm like fully on your side. Like I understand your point. Like I'm not here trying to like advocate electoralism. I also think it's a huge waste of time, and a waste of energy, like you point out. But like, is it possible on a personal level to divest your energy individually between activism and electoralism? Yes, that is true. But on a world on a movement scale type level, that's not true. You can't have people.
I kind of see what you're saying there.
You can't have people like campaigning and donating and door knocking for these people who are just gonna fucking vote for the Democratic nominee. Like this is like a lot of people wasted their time. A lot of people wasted their hard-earned money. I mean, I gave like, you know, over 200 to Bernie as a poor, like, fucking broke college kid. I saw someone in the chat gave up to 2K to Bernie, and you know, this is not easy money to make. It's not like I'm living it up or
No,
anything,
not getting it
or any
back.
of these people, or any of us have like these huge like podcasts, like $1 million like houses or whatever the fuck these people are living in. Like I don't like really understand. Like I think Nick makes the best point here in the red, honestly. Like this Marianne campaign hurts the working class by siphoning revolutionary energy and resources away from mutual aid, third parties, and other actions,
Right.
which is really like where
That's where I'm at.
and that
Yep.
which, like, on a personal level, I think is technically possible. You can make that that case, but you know, Nick says this is a game to a lot of you, but we don't have to waste on stupid ass vanity projects that's going to end up demoralizing the left and emboldening the Democratic Party, which is ironically, which is really exactly what happened with Bernie Sanders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what happened with Bernie Sanders. He like ruined it for us, and that's kind of why I'm in the position I'm in right now. I'm like so demoralized from the Democratic Party that I feel an obligation to tell people, like, don't waste your time with this crap. Like,
yeah, I really want to emphasize this again. I mean, Misty says this. There is no man who hurt the working class movement more than Bernie Sanders.
mm-hmm.
That is true. I mean, it's he put people in such, and it's really like this really like this case of wave of apathy. That's I mean, to be honest, like 2020 hit a lot of us like a brick. Like a lot of that devoted Bernie energy just fucking died. It died, and it just rolled over for whatever the Democrats wanted to do that electoral season. It's really kind of just. It's like this fanatics, and we're really just all gonna die. So
do you feel like that sometimes?
Yeah, no. Now,
is there more to that, or is that just
a friend of the show, or INA member here, Colin? Here's history literally repeating itself. Watch Marianne make the same play when she drops out of the primary. And here's her in 2020 Facebook post saying, but at the end of the convention tonight, I thought I was fully there, all in for Joe and Kamala, emotionally as well as intellectually. And
so just emotionally. She
says, this is, I mean, and people are taking this as like not as like a gotcha, but like, I mean, because it's from 3 years ago. Like, if you're saying that, like, with someone like if you're saying something like Joe Biden is like fairly consistent on his policy issues, then you could say that someone from 3 years ago is consistent on.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, like, what are Marianne?
How that fast? Like, people change, but they don't change like that. And,
how have Marianne policies?
And especially politicians. Like, politicians don't fucking change. When have you seen a politician fundamentally change a policy issue? Give me that. Give me that. Prove me wrong.
And she doesn't have any policy position, so like, it's not like there's like anything to compare
like chakras and meditation.
It's just it's just word salad. So like, oh, it's 3 years ago. So what? Like, she didn't have a position 3 years ago. What's different today?
Yeah. Just it's just gonna be a bunch of like tapestries and fucking prayer.
Just getting like steamrolled by the Department of Defense.
Her entire like national security and military department, they're off like firing nukes. And then there's
you joke,
we're all
but
sitting
like
here with our chakras. We're praying we're praying on like mats, and we're just doing.
But at least we got the neo-fascists out.
yeah. If you want to talk about emboldening neo-fascists, that's fucking emboldening neo-fascists. Sitting there and meditating while they fucking bomb the shit out of everyone else.
God. Yeah, for real.
I think that's pretty emboldening, if you ask me. But I I met Joe several times at the campaign trail, and he was always kind and respectful, as was Jill. I only met Kamala once, and she was wonderful as well. Do I think that everything they'll stand for in the White House will be something that I agree with? Absolutely not. But do I believe in their sincerity as people and their genuine desire to do well by the country? I absolutely do.
And what does that even mean? Like, what does that mean? Like, oh, so I think Biden's always going to do what's best for the country. So yeah,
Biden's
it's just
responsible for the worst climate disaster and act of war that we've ever seen in our history, and that's blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline. To say that,
and then there was the Ohio explosion a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah, and let's not even forget about Ohio, which is completely under the bus. He's completely ignoring, but Marianne believes that they're good people.
Like, that doesn't, again, it's just another thing where it's
There's
not,
a
she can't speak to any policy. She just speaks to like these weird affirmations and platitudes.
Well, they can't
and
see policy; they just see personalities, and they don't. That's why, like, when she can look at someone like Joe Biden and completely buy into it, and completely buy into this whole we need to defeat Trump. I mean, it's the same. She's really just a liberal, and people don't want to admit that she's just a liberal.
The thing is, like, it's
open.
almost worse than that. I don't even think she has a policy position other than, like, people were like, you should run for president, you'd be great, and then she just kind of adopted whatever was popular around her friends. Like, she just doesn't seem like somebody who really took the time to try and analyze.
It's a political vanity project that her friends are in, and they want to get in on it. That's all it is. But
so it's a grift.
This
grift.
happened a couple hours ago. I just wanted to show this off real quick. We're hitting like an hour and a half, so let's just you see
Sounds
those.
good.
We're wrapping up, but just a couple hours ago, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre is asked directly about Marianne Williamson, and let's watch the DNC get like completely humiliate Williamson. Not that I'm on their side, but just the amount of seriousness that that's being given towards her already, and you're giving her the benefit of the doubt, and you're assuming that she's going to win and that she's going to go against these people.
Annoyed, frustrated with Marianne Williamson for jumping in the race ahead of him. Did he want a clear field to run against the Republican nominee in 2024?
Just not trying. If I had a what is it called? A little clear crystal ball, then I can tell you. But I mentioned April, whatever.
She's giving up the game right here. She's giving up the game right
She's
here.
really just like, they're really just making fun of her directly now.
Well,
and it's kind of funny to see. I mean, I feel bad, but listen, like, they're really.
I see it more like they know that she's not going to beat Joe. Like, they know it's not even like it's more than a joke. Like, they're literally saying, like, she's not going to win. What are you doing? Like, you know how it's played. Get out a crystal ball. You'll see.
Yeah,
like,
it's almost like
they're saying the quiet part out loud.
First of all, they're pointing out the obvious.
Yes, but
And
I mean,
second of all-
people are interpreting it as a joke, but I think she's actually speaking like quite seriously, quite earnestly.
Yeah, I mean, and there was something beyond this, but like that I was thinking of, but I'm losing train of thought.
It's just such a joke.
The fact that Marianne is not. I mean, Bernie was seriously contending because he actually called out media, and he didn't play nice, and he was.
And the establishment was threatened by him.
He was threatened by it, so they shat on him.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even have to shit on Marianne.
This is mocking.
Because Marianne doesn't have a specific policy position that they can, fall backwards on and try to step backwards on because they know that they're like in the more conservative position. The DNC I'm talking about.
Right.
So like to have this reaction is actually kind of embarrassing because like this just shows that like because they took Bernie seriously They don't even fucking take her seriously at all.
Not even.
If I can feel her aura, I just don't have it.
They're laughing. They're fucking cracking up in the back. Do you hear that? They know. They fucking know.
That's what I mean. Like,
I can't get.
Is the president annoyed, frustrated?
Oh, by the way, Marianne believes these people aren't sincere. She believes that these are the most
yeah, exactly.
sincere and honest.
They're doing what's best.
They want to do good for the country. They want to do good for the country.
One person wearing the mask.
They think you're a fucking joke. You think they're sincere.
With Marianne Williamson for jumping in the race ahead of him, did he want a clear field to run against the Republican nominee in 2024?
Just not tracking that. I mean, if I had a what is it called? A little globe here, crystal ball, then I can tell you. But I imagine 8-ball, whatever. If I can feel her aura, I just don't have it. I just don't have anything to share on that.
Like that's gonna be like her best one-liner of her career right there.
Oh gosh, you guys are making me laugh now.
Is the president?
She's a stand-up because she's a comedian now. She's a fucking.
Oh, got jokes now, huh?
they you know what the worst part is like they really served it up for her.
Yes.
It's not even that. It's like they literally
it's the circus, man.
literally just gave this up for like.
They just wanted the freaking soundbite, man.
Like,
it's a great soundbite.
Let's remember the people who were there to, on every turn, blame it on the Republicans somehow and not go against their own party. But here's Mike Figueredo, otherwise the Amish report. It's shit like this that makes people rightfully hate Democrats and their smug elitist bullshit. Well, you didn't hate them before. You were actually kind of nice.
Yeah, you voted for Biden.
I mean, it's kind of strange that like, oh, suddenly now the person that they call out, the person that you don't like, now suddenly, I mean, it's really, I mean, it's they're getting bit in the back in real time, and it's really just it's fascinating to see. Like it's watching. It's like imagine we're all walking in a field of holes, and some of us know that when we see a hole, we have to step over the hole.
So wouldn't it be great if they just like eat themselves because they're pissed that like a Democrat that's running in the Democrat Party
all
is
I'm
like
asking these
infighting.
All I'm asking my fellow people, all I'm asking you is that we're walking in a field of holes, and to just kindly watch for the hole. Just watch the hole. Step over the hole. That's it. That's what we're doing right now. But people in mass are walking into holes. They're just straight up walking into it because they don't see any. They don't see this happening again in real time. I guess they forgot what happened 4 years ago.
So
or 8
what
years
is it
ago.
like? That's like, is it just like
I don't know
they
if
have
it's
a mental
amnesia,
block?
or I don't know if it's amnesia, or if
like
I don't know if
maybe
it's
his career counts too much on him having a position where he takes like
it's
this
also
kind
part of
like
that. I'm sure it's like it's a huge like
cognitive
bundle of
dissonance.
like
Like
factors.
man, I know I was messed up when I realized that like electoral politics was a shit show.
Yeah,
Like that messed me up for a little bit.
yeah.
But that's just ridiculous. Like, what do you expect? And they're both on the same team, so you're just like, I don't know how you can say that and then recognize that Marianne Williamson's running as a Democrat and not be recognizing that you're speaking about Marianne Williamson at the same time. Like, Marianne Williamson is one of those like smug elitist people. Like, she's full of shit too. You know, like what, why is it any different? Like, they're just, I don't know. I just see a huge game being played. Like, yes, they're kind of making jabs at her, but Marianne Williamson also knows that she's not going to win. She's going to endorse Biden. So, like I'm sure when Marianne Williamson sees the clip, she's like, "Oh, these fuckers." But at the same time, like, she's making money. She doesn't care. Like, she'll get a book deal. You know. So I'm just so cynical with all these people. I just like, and like the guy asking the question, like, obviously, like you said, it's like he was doing it for the soundbite. He was doing it for the layup because like, oh, it's a freaking viral clip. Like, that's freaking hilarious, you know? So it's just a bit, I don't see much like like authenticity with this. I just see a big circus. Like, oh, it's happening all over again. There's going to be so many moments like this for the next freaking 18 months.
I literally just saw this a couple hours ago, but here's Bree coping in real time. I know it's kind of small. I mean, like, I think I'm trying to figure out like how to make this bigger on the on the Streamlabs end. Oh, here we go.
Mhm.
We just do this. People are, and the tragic part is that half of the left sounds exactly like Biden mouthpiece Karine Jean-Pierre. Is she the
Same thing.
I was
She's
going to
just
ask
like
you,
this Figueredo position.
what do you think? Do you think that she's referencing Nick here when she's saying that? Is she comparing like Karine, Jean, and Nick? Do you get that from, or is that just me?
Yeah, I can see that. It's funny. Like the first thing I see is that she's basically saying the same thing as like freaking Amish Report said. You know, like, oh, there's like these freaking people think they're so hot with like they can just like they're owed our votes, so they just laugh at the other candidates. You know, it's the same kind of like thing that Mike was saying with them being elitist and thinking they're above everybody else. So yeah. I don't think she's necessarily talking about RBN. I think it's like if you put up the other one, you'd see it's like she's basically saying the same thing as Mike Figueredo. And
these people are just coping.
Sad.
It's just a big
she knows even more than Mike does. So
yeah, no, but Bree's smart. She's like this is what surprises me because she's above all of this. She really is. And I don't see this. I mean, I kind of saw this coming from her if we're really being honest. But really,
I try and just give her a pass because it's her career. I also think that like she has with her show, it's a lane. You know, part of her lane, like, yes, she's critical about law stuff. And like, I agree with her on almost all of her positions, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's just like when election season comes around,
I would say that she is smart. She's definitely a lot smarter and a lot more qualified than fucking Crystal Ball or fucking Kyle Kalinske.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And authentic.
100%.
Like, yeah,
she's a smart lady. She knows what the fuck she's talking about.
When we're giving a critique to Brianna,
that's all.
Yeah,
I'm saying.
it's just exactly like we actually kind of like value her opinion. Like we're the guys who get it, and we still value Brianna Joy Barry's opinion. We don't really care about Kyle.
No, it's just sad to see. I mean, really.
Yeah, but and that's what I mean. Like, is it okay if we don't think that like. There's a little bit of cynicism here because like she has a show and that's her lane. But at the same time, like I think she's just tied to it because of her previous experience mostly with Bernie. Like when you're that entrenched in the establishment, like running freaking Bernie's like national press secretary, like she's like entrenched in that stuff that like we can't even comprehend, you know? So like
part of it might be careerism. I mean, I'm not really I'm not willing to like at this point make like a fair judgment on
I just don't want to like think that it's all just cynicism. Like because I think that she's extremely bright.
I'm not gonna pounce yet, but I mean I'm just saying it's just very disappointing. But I mean we're seeing the debacle unfold in real time. This is Marianne Williamson stumbling her way into the presidential bid. Let's see. I guess we can only see how this goes, right? Like,
I mean, like I said, we're going to be seeing clips like this for the next 18 months. It's not going to end. So there's going to be plenty of dog shit content to go through.
You know what I think is going to happen? I mean, and call me a nihilist, call me pessimistic, but let's say we're probably gonna all buy like not. I'm saying not us, but I'm saying just in people in general. We're gonna like, or at least like the quote unquote like left like side.
Mm-hmm.
They're all gonna go into this Marianne Williamson thing en masse, and most people are gonna buy into it because she's on mainstream media, and people are just gonna have this superhero starfucker complex around Marianne Williamson, and all this energy and money and campaign is going to go into her, and people are going to give her money, and she's going to get whatever percent of the vote. She's going to get cheated, or she's probably not even going to win, to be honest with you. But in the case that she does get the votes in order to win, she's going to get cheated, and it's been obvious because it's happened twice already. And so
she won't get the. I mean, like, no, like when they were laughing at her, like it's obvious she won't get the votes. So
yeah, I think. I mean, even I just want to give her. I'm getting the 100% like pure like mastermind plan behind all this, right? We get Marianne in, we try to get her in, we fail, and they it's not like these people don't recognize it either. Like they fundamentally understand that Bernie got cheated, and that even Crystal and Kyle and the Vanguard, they all agree. It's very likely that Marianne will get cheated by the DNC in some way. That they understand that DNC is corrupt, and they'll find a way to get to destroy any challenging candidates, and they know that, and they
know that.
They say that several times on their show, and yet they fail to admit that this is going to be the same playbook over and over again, and it's really kind of
it makes you wonder like they have to know better. They have to know better. It's a different level of disappointing because now we're beyond getting disappointed at the candidates, and now we're disappointed at the independent journalists who are doing like willfully ignorant shit and are like participating in cognitive dissonance. And it's like, how can we be here just like being so aware of this, and we're seeing these people with like millions upon millions of people watching their shit like falling for these things 4 years later, 8 years later. Now, like, it's just crazy.
Yeah, and then what's going to happen? I mean, she's never really said any sort of directed. I mean, tell her that she will do a dirty break. Like tell her to say it publicly, straight up, and then maybe I'll stop shitting on her. If you get her to say that,
Yeah,
I'll
she
do
won't.
that. If you get her to run third party, I might even fucking go vote for. I might even go vote for her if she runs independent. I don't give a fuck. I'd go for like. No, I'm serious. There's like some like even
I believe
there's
it.
even like some like libertarian candidates that like on some issues like I'm like okay with, but I know they want to privatize school and stupid shit. It's like it's hard to find balance with these people, and I'm willing to give up and I'm willing to concede on some issues, but I don't trust the fucking Democrats. Don't stop doing this shit. Stop. Just stop. We're falling for it again. It's just.
Well, maybe we'll see some
people
people get caught on.
And it's going to be 8 years later, and the only thing that we have to show for it will be, "We told you so."
I mean, so
and you know
like,
what
look,
they're going to do? They're going to tell you again.
So who's going to be the two candidates who are running for president in 2024?
It's Joe Biden and Trump.
Obviously.
And when Trump is out here actively campaigning, I mean he's playing. I mean, whoever his campaign advisor is, like, I mean, he's clearly running this. Trump is clearly running. I mean, whoever his campaign advisor is, smart move on the East Palestine thing. I mean, I wouldn't have given
that
Trump,
was a pretty smart move, huh?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I wouldn't.
The guy
who
was not even present.
I wouldn't have given them like Trump labeled like water bottles and it's fucking
some sellout shit.
No, but I mean, like, at least he was there. I mean, Biden didn't even fucking go there. So I mean, like, it's hard when you reflect on like what everyday people's thoughts are who are like aren't necessarily like paying attention, but they they care how it affects their lives to some degree. So like they're just it's just sad to see.
So sad.
Sad to see.
But we don't want to say we told you so when Biden and Trump are running.
Yeah, no, like I don't.
And then Trump wins.
Like,
but we know it's going to happen.
Yeah, like I don't want that to be the case, but that's what's gonna happen, and unfortunately, we're just gonna have to run. Like we're just gonna have to run through this again. And like, I don't know how many times it's gonna take. We're
see,
going
well-
on our third time.
It's I mean, I would call it our third time. I would say it's our third time.
We're
Obama
going
was
on
kind
our
of
third
different
time.
time.
We're trying third time's a charm, I guess, right?
Well, we'll see what happens because I
Yep.
have a little hope that as it gets more and more shitty and more obvious, we'll have some independent journalists perhaps change their opinion. Like I could see, I hope Brianna Joy Gray is like, oh, fuck these people after a while. That would be like so amazing.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap it up here.
Sounds good.
The debacle unfolds in real time. We'll be back soon.
It's all downhill from here.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thank you.
Have a great Monday.